The screen split in two. On the left, the council chamber glowed like a cold star. Tall seals floated in the air. Turning slowly, perfect and proud, alien figures stood in a ring, their faces hidden by light and masks. A translation halo spun above them, ready to cut any voice into clean, neat meaning. On the right, a human dreadnought filled the darkness. Its main cannons warmed from black to deep orange, like sunrise trapped inside metal. Small lights ran along its hull in steady lines. Behind it, escort ships held position with the calm discipline of a drill team. Across both sides, huge holographic words flashed. Ultimatum. Then, a second later, comply. The council's voice came through the channel with no anger, no warmth, and no doubt. It sounded like a rule carved into stone. Surrender your fleets. Dismantle your weapons. Submit to inspection. As the voice spoke, 3 icons appeared, simple bullet marks that clicked into place. One by one. Surrender. Dismantle. Submit. In the human command bay, nobody cheered. Nobody shouted. Nobody argued. They had heard those words before, years ago. Inspection had arrived with polite smiles and friendly ships. It had arrived with forms and promises and soft voices, saying, "This is for peace." Humans had opened ports. Humans had shared roots. Humans had even stood down because they wanted to believe a great council could be fair. Then the inspectors had marked targets. Some colonies burned in a single night. Some never sent another message. Refugee ships had crossed space with empty water tanks and children sleeping in hallways. Human maps had gained red zones that never went away. In the council chamber, the seals brightened, as if the galaxy itself agreed. The council continued. Compliance will prevent unnecessary conflict. On human screens, old images still lived. A broken city dome with ice in the air. A school badge found in ash. A battered flagpole from wreckage. Those memories sat behind every calm face. A human delegate stood at a thin podium inside the dreadnought secure comms room. She wore a plain uniform with no medals. Her hair was tied back. Her hands rested on the edge of the desk as if she was steadying a table against a storm. Around her, officers watched in silence. A heartbeat. Sound played low through the room, not from a speaker, but from someone's medical monitor. It was the only rhythm in the air. No music. No dramatic tones. Just the sound of a living body refusing to panic. The delegate's name was Mara Lorne. She had been a child on one of the first inspected colonies. She had learned early that the council liked clean words. Clean words made dirty actions look bright. The council's translator halo spun faster, waiting. A council figure lifted a hand. Human representative. Your response is required within this session. Mara leaned closer to the mic. Her voice was quiet, almost gentle. She did not shout for courage. She did not raise her chin for pride. She spoke like someone ending a conversation that had already gone along. No. The translation halo caught the word and threw it outward. The council chamber displayed it in huge letters, too large to ignore. No. The letters shimmered, with glitz light, stamped with translation tags in several languages. The word looked almost unreal in the perfect chamber, like a crack in glass for 1 second. The council chamber had no sound. Even the seals seemed to pause. Then the council voice returned. Still calm, but sharper now. Then you choose extinction. On the human side, the dreadnought cannons climbed another level of charge. A quiet alarm tone sounded, controlled, not urgent. Hangar doors opened along the ship's belly. Inside, rows of smaller craft waited, ready to move. Mara did not change her expression. The council continued. You misunderstand the situation. Your refusal is not recognized. In the human command bay, an officer whispered, "There." Still acting like it's paperwork. Another officer replied, "It's not paperwork. It's a trap." A map appeared over the main table. Human borders were marked in pale blue. Council fleets, labeled as peace enforcement, sat near 3 key jump points. They were already there, already placed, already aimed. The human admiral, a tall man with tired eyes, stared at the map. "So the ultimatum is theater," he said. Mayor's voice stayed steady. "They wanted us to kneel on camera." On the council side, seals flared again. "Final warning," the council said. "Stand down your vessels, submit to inspection, or face immediate corrective action." On the human side, the dreadnought's escorts locked into a tire pattern. Not a charge, not a rush, just a hard shape that said, "We will not break." Mara spoke again, slower this time, so even the most proud listener could not pretend to misunderstand. No, means we're done asking. The words were calm, but the meaning was heavy. On the human tactical display, a short line flashed, in clean letters, done asking. For a moment, the council chamber looked offended, like a judge hearing a witness speak out of turn. Then, a new signal cut into the Channel and emergency broadcast, weak and shaking. A civilian convoy marker blinked on the human map, a refugee line, unarmed ships, old engines. To slow, a voice cried through static, "We're taking fire, repeat, we're taking fire." On the council side, nobody admitted anything. No seal changed color. No apology came. On the human side, the command bay snapped from stillness into motion. Officers leaned in, hands moved across controls. The admiral's voice dropped low, deadly calm. "Confirmed source." A sensor officer answered. "Council Peace Patrol. Weapons active. They're hitting the convoy." Mara closed her eyes for one breath, then opened them again. The heartbeat monitor kept its steady sound. Life, insisting. The admiral stared at the glowing cannons, then at the blinking convoy signal, and finally at the council chamber on the left side of the split screen. He spoke like a man making a choice he never wanted, but one he had prepared for. "Launch rescue wing," he ordered. "Full protection, no delays." The dreadnought's hangar lights turned green. Small ships poured out into the dark, and the unexpected war began, not with a human threat, but with humans racing toward screaming civilians. While the council still pretended it was only enforcing peace, the convoy's distress signal did not end when the first human fighters arrived. It became worse. The council patrol ships did not back away. They held their line and kept firing, even when human craft placed themselves between lasers and civilian hulls. On the public channel, the council still spoke like a teacher correcting a child. "This is a peace action," the council announced. "Human interference increases casualties." Across human space, people watched the split-screen replay again and again. The ultimatum. The one word, the convoy burning. The council's convoys calling it necessary. Then the blockades came. Council fleets moved to the edges of human systems and sat on the jump points like iron gates. Cargo traffic stopped. Medical shipments delayed. Fuel routes cut. On every official feed, the council repeated the same message in different words. "Surrender your fleets," they said, "to stop further harm." It was a clean lie wrapped in soft language, and it worked on some worlds. Neutral planets saw the blockade and thought, maybe humans really are dangerous. Maybe the council is saving the galaxy from them inside human command. Nobody cared about the speeches. The numbers on the logistics board were getting worse by the hour. A red list of exposed systems grew longer. Outer colonies, small stations, farming moons with weak shields and old guns. The council had chosen its battlefield carefully. Not shipyards, not dreadnoughts, civilians. Admiral Hale stood over the map with Mara beside him. The lights in the command bay were dimmer than before. Sleep was now something people remembered, not something they did. "They're trying to make us protect everything," Hale said. "So we fail somewhere." A navigation officer pointed to thin lines on the map. "These corridors are still open," she said, "but they're unstable." Everyone knew what she meant. Old jump corridors existed like narrow tunnels in stormy water. They were not used in normal travel because a small error could tear a ship apart or drop it in empty dark. The council avoided them because the council loved safe, controlled rules. Humans had used them once, long ago, in the first days of the lost colonies, when there was no time for safe routes. Mara's eyes stayed on the exposed worlds. "If we wait," she said, "they'll starve them. Then call it our fault." Hale nodded once. "We move people first. Not pride, not territory, people." The evacuation plan began with a word. Humans hated triage. Some colonies would be held. Some would be emptied. Some would be hidden. It was not fair, but war did not care about fair. Civilian transports gathered in tight groups. Escorts formed shells around them. And then, in the dark between stars, human ships slid into risky corridor jumps. The first corridor jump went wrong. A transport came out too close to an asteroid belt and lost engines. Human escort craft turned back without orders, pushing it clear with their own thrust. Burning fuel they could not replace easily, they made it out, barely. People cheered on a dozen worlds when the footage arrived, not because it looked heroic, but because it proved something important. Humans could still choose each other. The council did not like that. A new council decree hit the network. Any vessel using unauthorized carters is classified as hostile. In the same broadcast, the council offered mercy again. Surrender now, they said, and the blockades will end. Mara watched the message in silence. Her jaw tightened. They want obedience, she said. They want us to ask permission to breathe. While humans ran evacuations, they also fought small battles at jump points short, sharp clashes meant to buy minutes. Minutes were everything now. Minutes were the difference between a transport, leaving a dock, or dying there. In one of those clashes, a council patrol ship made a mistake. It chased a human decoy too far into human space. It split from its formation, and when it tried to return, a silent human interceptor net closed around it like a trap. No explosions, no dramatic finish, just engines cut, thrusters pinned, and a boarding team moving through a dark hallway with magnet boots and tight breath. When the council ship's captain was brought into the dreadnought, the captain looked almost offended to be treated like a normal person. The uniform was perfect. The eyes were cold. The voice tried to sound bigger than the room. "You are committing crimes," the captain said. Hale answered, "You fired on refugees." The captain tilted their head. "Refugees are unstable populations. They spread conflict." Mara leaned forward. "Why does the council want inspection?" The captain smiled. "Small and sharp. To ensure peace." Mara's voice stayed. "Calm. Say it without the nice words." For a moment, the captain's eyes flicked away. It was tiny, but in a room full of tired soldiers, it was loud. Hale stepped closer. "Your ships are already on our jump points. Your patrols already shoot civilians, so don't pretend this started today." The captain's smile faded. "Humans do not understand order." Mara watched, patient as stone. "We understand it," she said. "We lived under it. It killed our worlds." The captain breathed out through the nose, as if tired of speaking. 2 children. Then the truth came, not as a confession, but as a simple statement, like a rule everyone already knew. "Inspection means disarm," the captain said, "then divide." The room went quiet. Hale's hands curled into fists, then relaxed again. He looked at Mara, and Mara looked back. Neither of them looked surprised. They looked confirmed. Mara spoke softly. "Divide into what?" The captain lifted the chin. "Compliance zones, resource zones, security zones. Humans will be managed as needed." Hale's voice was low. Like the colonies, the captain did not deny it. Denial was for someone who feared shame. The council feared only losing control. The recording of that sentence, disarm, then divide, was saved, sealed, and held, not released yet. Not while civilians were still moving through corridors. Not while council fleets could punish people for hearing truth. But inside the human war room, everything changed. Before, humans had planned like a cornered animal, strong walls, big guns, direct fights. Now they planned like survivors. They stopped trying to win battles the council wanted. They stopped meeting fleets head-on unless they had to. They used the one thing the council hated most: uncertainty. Human engineers built signature masks that could make a small ship red like a large one. Old mining barges were turned into decoys with heat lamps and fake weapon charges, empty cargo. Shells were sent through safe corridors to pull council patrols away from the real evacuation routes. And then came the silent ships. These were not new. They were old designs from the first human warscraft that could run dark, cool there, holes, and drift like dead metal until the moment they needed to move. Humans had stopped using them after peace treaties because the council called them aggressive. Now humans brought them back. Silent ships slipped past blockades and dropped supplies on those starving moons. Silent ships watched council patterns and fed data into human tactics. Silent ships waited near corridor exits, ready to protect transports at the worst moments. The council began to look clumsy. Council commanders hated that more than losses, because the council did not just fight wars. It performed authority. It needed everyone to see it as unstoppable, clean, correct. But now there were videos of council ships chasing decoys into empty space. There were whispers of human supplies appearing on blockaded worlds like ghosts. There were reports of council patrols firing at shadows. In the council chamber, seals flared brighter each day, as if light could replace confidence. Council voices on the public feed grew harsher. Human trickery confirms their unfitness. The council declared, they reject peace. Behind the words, the council escalated. More fleets arrived, heavier ones, Ships with weapons humans had not seen in decades, pulled from reserve docks. The blockade tightened until some jump points looked like walls of metal. Then the council made its next move, and it did it in public. It announced the countdown. Compliance window, 72 standard hours. The council said, after that, human systems will be corrected. Across human space, people heard the number and felt it like a hand on the throat. In the dreadnought, Hale stared at the timer and said nothing for a long time. Mara broke the silence. Her voice was steady, but there was iron under it now. They want obedience, she said, so they can prove to the galaxy that saying no has a price. Hale's eyes stayed on the map, on the exposed systems, on the corridor routes, on the blockaded jump points. Then he gave new orders, quiet and clear. Keep evacuating. He said, keep running dark and find the council's pride. Mara nodded once, because if we break that, she said, the blockade is just ships, outside. In the cold space between stars, the council fleets held their line, and in the shadows between safe routes, human ships moved like a question the council could not answer. The council's countdown ran on every public channel like a heartbeat made of numbers. 72 hours. The council spoke over it, smooth and certain. Humanity has rejected peace, they said. Humanity endangers stability. We act to protect the galaxy. On neutral worlds, many people believed it. They saw clean council seals and calm voices. They saw human warships on the other side of the split screen, cannons glowing, and they filled in the story the council wanted. Humans are violent. Humans are unstable. Humans must be controlled. That was the council's oldest story, and it had kept the council in power for a long time. But stories have one weakness. They break when people see what really happened. In the Dreadnought's comms vault, Mara watched the saved recordings again, the refugee convoy. The council patrol firing first. The calm council voice calling it peace action. The captured captain's sentence, disarm, then divide. Admiral Hale stood behind her, arms crossed. Around them, analysts worked in silence, eyes red from lack of sleep. A young signals officer spoke carefully. We can crack more than that. Sentence, he said. We've been listening to their command net. Their orders are coded, but the pattern repeats. Hale's eyes sharpened. Show me. The officer put up a waveform, then a clean line of text. Not perfect, not complete, but enough. Directive. Apply pressure until human command accepts inspection protocol. Secondary. Strike civilian mobility to increase compliance speed. Public message. Human aggression caused escalation. Mara did not blink. They wrote it down. She said softly. They wrote down the lie. Hale's voice stayed calm, and they assumed nobody would ever read it. Humans had one weapon the council did not respect. Stubborn curiosity. Human cryptographers did not sleep. They tested patterns, compared old council formats, used captured hardware, and polled, meaning from noise like miners pulling mail from stone. Every hour, more fragments became readable. Every day, the council's clean story gained new cracks. But Hale still did not order a broadcast. Not yet, because truth was dangerous in a galaxy ruled by fear. If humans shouted too early, the council could punish neutral worlds for listening. The council could call the footage forged. The council could tighten the blockade and blame humans again. The broadcast had to be so clear that even a careful liar would struggle to deny it. So humans built it like a case in court. They used timestamps, sensor angles, ship IDs, and raw telemetry. They included the moment council weapons powered up first, the moment civilian shields failed, the moment the council voice said, "This is peace." They added decoded orders beside the footage, line by line, with proof of the encryption keys pulled from captured systems. Then they added a final piece, the council captain's own voice. Inspection means disarm, then divide. Mara watched the final edit play once, then twice. It was simple, clean, and brutal. No shouting, no insult. Just facts. Hale exhaled. Slowly. Send it. He said. The broadcast did not go out on council channels. The council would block it or twist it. Humans sent it the way humans always sent risky truth through many small pots at once. Silent ships carried data packets to neutral relays. Smugglers were paid in fuel and medical supplies. Old civilian stations were used like stepping stones. Even a few council member worlds received the feed through hacked maintenance lines. Then the galaxy saw it. On one neutral planet, a council official tried to speak over the footage. Human propaganda. He began. But the footage kept playing. It showed Council fire hitting a refugee ship. It showed the ship's transponder. Civilian. It showed the Council order text beside it. Strike civilian mobility. The official stopped talking. On another world, a news host whispered, so the Council started it. At once that question existed. It did not die. Neutral worlds began to hesitate. Not all of them. Some had been inside the Council system too long. Some feared the Council fleets more than they respected human suffering. Some hated humans and did not care about truth. But many hesitated, and hesitation was enough. Because a council is only a council if others follow. The quiet help started small. A fuel shipment lost in paperwork, then found at a human-friendly dock. Medical crates rerouted through a moon port by mistake. A neutral patrol ship. Looking the other way while a human evac convoy slipped through a corridor exit. No speeches. No flags. Just quiet hands choosing not to let civilians die. In human space. The blockade still hurt. People still went hungry. Some outposts still fell silent. But now the Council was bleeding something it could not repair with warships. Its image. Inside the Council chamber, the seals burned brighter, almost harsh. Council voices grew fast and angry, then forced themselves back into calm tones, because calm was part of the act. The footage is manipulated. The Council declared, human deceit proves the threat. Hale listened to the statement and shook his head once. They can't admit it, he said. If they admit it, they lose the fear. Mara looked at him. Fear of what? She asked. Hale gestured to the old files on the wall screen, historical Council briefings pulled from captured systems. Old wars, old rebellions, old peace corrections. In every file, humans were described the same way: aggressive, unstable, rage-driven, impossible to control. Mara read one line aloud. The Council's stability depends on preventing human unity, she said. Her voice tightened. That's why they divide. A senior analyst nodded. They sell protection, he said. Protection from humans. That's their reason to exist. Mara stared at the words like they were a blade. So their control is not law, she said. It's fear. Fear of human rage. Hale's voice went quiet. And they've been feeding that fear to the galaxy for generations. The timer reached 24 hours. Then the Council escalated again. A new Council weapon entered the field. It was not a fleet, not a blockade, not a public decree. It was a platform, long, narrow, and so bright with shielding that even distant sensors flinched from it. It moved with slow confidence, like a knife being lifted for a careful cut. Council escorts formed a ring around it. Human analysts ran the numbers and went still. That's not for ships, one of them said. Hale leaned over the readout. What is it for? The analyst swallowed. Shipyards, he said. Orbital. Infrastructure. Fixed targets. A new marker appeared on the map. Earth. Not the planet itself. The shipyards around it. The dry docks. The repair rings. The place where human fleets were built and healed. The Council weapon began to align. On the public channel, the Council spoke calmly, as if announcing a safety test. In 24 hours, corrective action will begin. This will reduce human capacity for conflict. Mara's hands went cold. They want to cut out our tools, she said. Make us helpless. Then bring inspectors. Hale nodded once. They're aiming at our throat, he said. In the Dreadnought command bay. Silence returned thicker than before, because now humans had to choose. If they rushed to defend Earth's shipyards with everything they had, they would leave exposed. Systems open. Evac routes would collapse. Civilians would die in the dark. If they stayed focused on evacuations, Earth's shipyards could be shattered. The war would become a long, slow bleeding with no way to rebuild. The Council had made the choice sharp. On purpose. Mara looked at Hale. We can't outgun them at that platform, she said. Not fast. Not clean. Hale's eyes were steady. So we don't fight the way they want, he said. He turned to the tactics board. Find me every neutral relay, he ordered. Every world that hesitated. Every ship that quietly helped. And officer frowned. Sir, that network is fragile. If we use it for combat, the Council will punish them. Hale's jaw tightened. I know, he said. That's why we don't ask them to fight. We ask them to witness. Mara understood. First, her voice dropped low. You want the galaxy watching when the Council pulls the trigger, she said. Hale nodded once. The Council lives on fear, he said, so we take away their mask. A strategist stepped closer. And the weapon platform? He asked. Hale's? Eyes moved to the silent ship icons on the map. We place a blade in the dark, he said. Not a hammer. The plan formed in quiet pieces. Silent ships would slip through unstable corridors and position near the platform's blind angles. Decoys would draw escorts away. A small boarding team would aim for the weapon's command core, not to destroy it in a bright explosion, but to shut it down and capture-proof. If it worked, the Council would lose its greatest threat and its clean image in the same moment. If it failed, those ships would not come home. Mara looked at the timer, then at Earth's marker, then at the Council's glowing seals on the split screen. They wanted No to look like anger, she said softly, so they could punish us. Hale's voice was calm, almost gentle. Then we show them something else. He said, we show them control. Outside, the Council weapon continued to align on Earth's shipyards. Inside the dreadnought, humans prepared a move that could end the war, or end them. The Council weapon platform kept drifting into perfect alignment. From far away, it looked calm, almost beautiful. A thin line of light aimed toward Earth's shipyards like a ruler placed on a map. But on human screens, the numbers were not beautiful. Time to firing window, 6 hours. Shield cycle stable, escort ring, full, admiral. Hale stood in the dreadnought's command bay without speaking. He watched the silent ship icons slide across the tactical map, moving through unstable corridor exits in ways that made navigators sweat. Mara stood beside him, hands behind her back, face still. She had learned that fear was real, but panic was optional. The first phase began with lies, human lies, used for defense. Decoy barges, bright with fake heat, jumped into a safe lane and lit their engines like they were proud. Council escorts turned toward them at once, eager for a clean, public kill. Human decoys ran, and the Council chased. On the far side of the platform, 3 silent ships drifted in cold darkness, barely moving. Their hulls were cooled to near space temperature, no active scans, no loud engines, just small course corrections like breathing. When the escort ring thinned by a few ships, Hale gave one quiet order, go. The silent ships moved, not fast, not flashy, just enough to close the distance before the Council platform could fully adjust. Their docking claws caught the edge of a maintenance spine. Magnetic locks snapped in place. A boarding team crossed in a thin line, each person clipped. To the next, boots tapping softly against alien metal inside the platform. Council corridors were clean, bright, and too quiet. Signs glowed in simple symbols. Doors opened smoothly. It looked like a place that had never expected hands to grab it. Then the team reached the command core. They did not plant bombs. They did not carve messages into walls. They went straight to the control nodes and inserted a human drive spike designed for one thing: copy everything. Orders, logs, targeting history, the full chain of command. A Council officer appeared with 2 guards, weapons raised. The officer's voice shook, with anger more than fear. You cannot be here, the officer said. The human team leader answered calmly. We are here, she said, because you aimed at civilians. The officer's eyes flicked to the drive spike. That data is Council property, is evidence. The human said. The Council officer's face tightened. Humans always call violence justice. The human leader held up a hand. Her team did not fire. No, she said. Humans call truth truth. The drive finished. In the same moment, human engineers triggered the second part of the plan. A shield stutter. Not a full shutdown. Just a forced delay in the platform's firing cycle long enough to stop the shot from leaving the barrel. On human sensors, the firing window slipped. 6 hours became 12. Then the third part began. Hale did not order a strike. He ordered a message, not to the Council, to the galaxy. Human ships sent a wide broadcast to every neutral relay that had hesitated, to every station that still pretended to be uninvolved, to every world that had quietly moved fuel and medicine. The message was short. Watch. Then the stream went live. The Council could block some channels. It could jam some relays, but it could not stop all of them at once. Not now. Not while neutral eyes were already looking for cracks in the Council story. The broadcast showed the platform's internal logs. It showed the targeting solution aimed at Earth's shipyards. It showed the Council's public statement beside the private directive. Reduce human capacity for conflict. It showed older files too, pulled from the platform and from captured patrol ships, all linked by the same language: inspection protocol. Disarm, divide, manage. Then the human feed did something the Council had never expected. It did not ask for pity. It asked for a rule. Mara stepped into frame on a simple background. No flags, no dramatic music, no yelling. Her voice was clear, basic, and steady. The council says inspection brings peace, she said, but inspection with guns is not peace. It is control. She paused, letting the words land without pressure. Humans are not asking the galaxy to fight for them, she continued. Humans are asking the galaxy to witness. A second screen appeared beside her, footage of the refugee convoy from Part 1. Timestamped, raw. Council fire hitting civilian hulls. Council voice calling it peace action. Mara spoke again. No empire gets to inspect with weapons, she said. Not the council, not humans, not anyone. The council reacted the way it always did. When the mask slipped, it tried to crush the moment. In the council chamber, seals flared hard white. A senior council speaker rose and lifted both hands. This is human manipulation. The speaker declared. They are proving their rage, their hunger for domination. But now the galaxy had more than human words. It had council words. Human. Cryptographers released a final package, a full chain of orders signed by council command authority, including civilian pressure directives, blockade timing, and the platform strike plan. The signatures were real. The encryption matched council standards. Neutral analysts confirmed the format within minutes on a dozen neutral news feeds. Hosts stopped speaking and simply stared at the data. On some council member worlds, people began to ask questions that had been illegal to ask yesterday. Who decided this? Who benefits? How many inspections ended like this? The council's power began to wobble, not because humans destroyed ships, but because the council's fear story stopped working. Fear needs silence to grow. Witness kills it. The council still had fleets, still had weapons, still had enough force to burn worlds. So it chose escalation again. It sent an emergency command to the weapon platform. Fire anyway. Inside the platform, alarms rose. Systems tried to override the force delay. The weapon began to charge again, brighter, louder, angry. On the human dreadnought, Hale watched the spike in energy and made a hard decision. Disable it completely, he said. An officer asked. With a kill shot, Hale's eyes stayed on the platform. Not if we can avoid it. Mara looked at him. You're choosing restraint while it's aimed at your home, she said. Hale's voice was flat. If we destroy it on a public feed, the council will call it proof, he said. They'll say humans only understand annihilation. He turned to comms, opened a channel to the council command hub. He ordered. The human channel cut through, direct and simple. The council speaker appeared, tense now. Less polished. Human Admiral, the speaker said. Surrender and you may be spared. Hale did not raise his voice. We have your weapon platform. He said, we have your orders. The galaxy is watching. The council speaker's eyes narrowed. Then you will threaten us. Hale answered, no. That one word again, calm, clean, final. That he added the choice. We will transmit every order you have ever given about inspection. Hale said, we will transmit evidence of every civilian pressure action. Not tomorrow. Now. The council speaker's voice sharpened. You would expose council security to criminals. Hale's face did not change. You exposed your own crimes to the galaxy, he said. We are just removing the curtain. Mara stepped into the channel beside Hale. This ends one of two ways, she said. You stop. You stand down. You accept a new rule. The council speaker scoffed. A human rule. Mara shook her head once. A shared rule, she said. No inspections with guns, ever. Behind the council speaker, other figures moved, whispering urgently. The council had built itself on being untouchable, but now it was touchable. At worst it was being watched. Neutral worlds began to speak, one by one, not all, but enough. A trade coalition announced it would no longer recognize council blockades. A medical alliance demanded access corridors be opened. A security guild declared the council platform strike a violation of interstellar law. The council speaker looked left and right like a person realizing the room had changed. While they were talking, Hale gave the final pressure, not as a threat of destruction, but as a threat of truth. Call back the platform, he said. Lift the civilian pressure and the blockades. The council speaker's jaw worked. Pride fought survival. You will be punished later. The speaker said, voice tight. Mara answered softly, later is not guaranteed anymore. The council command hub sent a new command. Stand down platform. Hold fire. On human sensors, the weapons charge dropped. The bright line aimed at Earth's shipyards dimmed. The platform's escorts stopped moving like hunters and started moving like guards around. Something fragile. The firing did not happen. In the dreadnought command bay, no one cheered. Some people sat down like their bones had turned to water. Others stared at the map, waiting for the next lie. But the next lie did not come quickly, because the council had a new problem. The galaxy had seen. Hale ordered the boarding team to leave the platform alive. He ordered medical care for captured council crew. He ordered restraint in every message sent after. Not because he felt kind, because he understood the real victory. If humans became the monster the council described, the council's fear would rise again, wearing a new face. So humans chose something harder than revenge. They chose a new system. In the weeks that followed, a tribunal was formed on neutral ground. Not a human court, not a council court, a witness court. Representatives from many worlds sat in a ring, and evidence was placed in the center where everyone could see it. Raw logs, directives, telemetry, footage. The council tried to deny, then tried to bargain, then tried to threaten. But threats sounded weak when everyone had copies. Mara spoke once at the tribunal, and her words were simple. Power without witnesses becomes abuse, she said, so we will build law with witnesses. The new rule was written into shared space agreements. No inspections with weapons. No peace enforcement blockades against civilians. No secret directives to punish populations for speed of compliance. And most important, any empire that violates these rules will face the galaxy's record in public, in full. The council still existed after that, but it was smaller, watched, limited. It could not hide behind perfect seals anymore. Humanity did not take the council's throne. Humanity took away the throne's shadows. And across the galaxy, when young officers asked what ended the Ultimatum War, older captains did not talk about a super weapon or a single battle. They said the council issued an ultimatum. Humanity replied with one word, no. And this time, no did not mean anger. It meant a choice.